Hello, the YouTube. Welcome back for another episode of Satisfactory. I will happily leave a thing on the screen for you guys to skip past the mushy bit here in the beginning. But first, thank you so much for the extra love that I've been seeing in here. I've got a handful of people that have subscribed to the channel for some reason. I'm not making gourmet YouTube content here. I'm just a dude playing a game. Okay, but thank you nonetheless for tuning in and watching. Number 2 item on the to-do list here, though, is that I've mostly got just a teensy little bit of a confession to make. I did not notice that the audio quality for my mic had been so god-awful over the last I don't know how long. Frankly, I'm afraid to go back and look, because despite how long I spend editing and stuff, well, it turns out I'm just not that observant. Yeah, apparently the Razer Synapse software decided to do something to update my microphone, and that software is where I have all the equalizers and stuff for my mic that I had set up specifically for my voice to come through clearly, and apparently that wasn't happening because my computer needed a restart. And look, okay, don't at me, okay? I just don't restart my computer very often, okay? Just chill. It's okay. It'll be all right. But anyway, let's get into the episode. And sorry again for the fact that my microphone sounded like it was made entirely of aluminum foil, at the very least in the tail end of the last episode. I'm not sure how far back that goes. Thank you for being patient. And without further ado, hey YouTube. Welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory. This is Master Maniac. Y'all know who I am. Appreciate you coming in for a watch. Last episode, we did some shenanigans with the Choo Choo Network. The Choo Choo Network has been resolved, including the problem. It has also been slightly expanded. There's a stopaway over there, and there's a spiral there, and there's a stopway over there. Let's go have a look at the spiral here. Alright, now that we're nice and close, yeah, just a simple little train spiral. I needed something to get trains from up to down very compactly. I'm sure there are other places that are gonna use this, especially like going from like the redwood forest down to the green fields or whatever. But yeah, this was very much necessary because I'm gonna have a train that's gonna be moving between all the other biomes. And remember, that upper line is specifically for interbiome logistics. So yeah, that train is gonna need access to come down to here to drop off foliage and also critter parts and slugs and stuff into here. So yeah, I wanted to go ahead and make sure that I had a stop here in case I needed it. I put that stop in backwards. I'm gonna have to fix that later. But yeah, so that's what this whole spiral and stop is for, which means that these facilities should be good to go ahead and get a casing built around them. Let's see how long I can procrastinate that. I'm gonna come over here to where Caterium used to live, and you'll notice all the Caterium refinement is gone. Instead, the Caterium is now going into a truck station. Yay! Because that's one of the materials we needed to import. As well as there's a train station down here that is importing quartz crystal. Yay! Because that's another material that we need to import. Oh boy. And on the subject of things that need to be imported, let's go and look at that list because it is getting significantly shorter. Okay, so there is a thing missing from here. I took concrete off of the signs because I don't need it. So quartz and Caterium are going to come from those truck stations right over there. So that's all fine and good. The other ones that I had up here were concrete and copper ore, and I think I had like iron up here or something. But why though is the thing. Why? All of those things, we've got at least a pure node of each of those things over there in the direction of the big water pipe where they're going to be refined anyway. Why would I bring them over here from there just to bring them back from here to there? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. That's not the way this works. Your boy was engaging in a hefty whiff of the insanity. Okay? I got a big idea in my head. I got carried away. I'm sorry. Oh. Hello, the train. I didn't know you could just stand on this edge. Cool. Alright. Anyway, back to my rant. Yeah, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to pull the ores up out of the ground near where they're going to be refined, and we're going to call that good. Maybe we'll use some trucks to ferry the ingots and stuff around to different places, but I'm going to be real with you, there is no reason for us to bring the ores over here, and frankly, there's no reason to bring the ingots over here either. I'm not going to use the ingots in the ammo depot. It's not going to happen. What I am going to do, though, is use that refinement project as an excuse to get rid of all of this garbolium. Look at all of this clutter down here, except for that can stay. That's still actively in use. But the rest of this, yeah, the rest of this can go. Basically anything that's not in a permanent location, yeah, all of that can get redone. I would much rather put it in buildings and stuff over here that are going to be used and like contribute to making the area look pretty. If this desert is going to become a city, I think the best idea would be to, not pollute the landscape around it, because that's going to be just as valuable of scenery as the city itself is. So yeah, I don't think we'll need that stuff anymore once we're done. Also, that's all like the basic production for dimensional depots and stuff. So it's putting stuff like iron plates and copper wire in dimensional depots, which we have copper wire over there. Those storages are full now, by the way. But yeah, if we're going to be making like modular frames and heavy modular frames and making like lots and lots of extra concrete, because I'm going to do like a full densest belt possible of wet concrete that I can. Yeah, if I'm going to be doing all that over there, I might as well just build like finalized production over there and call it good. And that'll also include like all the stuff that's over there, so like rods and screws and plates and heavy plates and yeah. Also computers. Computers is another thing that I want to talk about because if I pull this up, you can see I've got some alternate recipes unlocked. This one right here, this Caterium computer, is very interesting because if I were to pair that with the circuit board recipe that is just plastic and Caterium, that means all I need is a handful of oil products and Caterium to make computers. That's not bad at all. That's a really, really convenient recipe chain, especially considering that we've got some stuff over here ready for that anyway. I can just grab the rubber and plastic from these lines. And that's not a problem at all. The additional consideration with that is I've got both rubber and plastic here, for one, and two, I've got fuel here. So if I really wanted to, I could do residuals. Because like all the fuel from this is just overflow. I'm not using it to actively generate power or anything. I'm not relying on this fuel for anything. So I could take how much am I making? 120? Yeah, I'm making 120 fuel per minute at maximum. And I've got recipes here. Let me find it. Recycled plastic. Yeah, so I could do 2 refineries making residual plastic, basically doubling rubber into plastic. And then let's see if the rubber one works the same way. Recycled rubber. So it's 30 fuel per minute for plastic. It is also 30 fuel per minute per rubber. So yeah, even if I only did like 2 refineries, that would still be an additional 60 per minute of each of those resources being made. It's also worth noting that I could make this fuel a bit more efficient. There is a fuel recipe. Let's see if I can find it. Diluted packaged fuel. This is really, really good. So basically you use packaged water and heavy oil residue to double your residue into packaged fuel, right? So that's a really good recipe. You would just have to unpack it. It's not that big of a deal. So yeah, there's some makeover type stuff that I could do here if I really, really wanted to. And there's a reasonable possibility that I might just do it. So yeah. For now, though, I guess we need to start making plans for what we're going to do over there. Let me, I guess, throw down some foundations and get an idea of what I want to do specifically, and I will reconvene with you guys in a moment. And you know, I think a new project needs a project hut. Yay! Totally not a ripoff of Kivitz and the way he does things, and also a thumbnail I saw of a little hut that's like exactly the same shape and everything. Yay! Let's get this thing built. I'm really happy with the way this thing came out, and basically all I wanted was, yeah, I did an interior too. Basically a place where, like, if my inventory gets full, I can dump a bunch of stuff off in a container, get that sent off to a awesome sink. I've got a nice blank wall back here that I can use for signs and stuff, planning out what I'm going to be doing nearby. Plenty of little storages. I've got a MAM, I've got a craft bench, I've got a equipment workshop. Basically all the little stuff that I would need for planning out a build. Also, it's air conditioned. Yay! But yeah, I am super happy with the way this thing came out. If I had any complaints to make about it, like the back isn't so bad, but this wall here is kind of a little bit dull. So maybe I would do something with that. The only thing that I should need to do with this is get it hooked up to power. So let me do that. And of course, this will actually be a first for me, but I haven't seen what this thing looks like at not. Oh my god. Oh baby. Hold up. Hold up just a minute. Let me put my hand away. Oh. Oh, look at that, dude. I was not expecting it to look that nice. That deserves a screenshot. Alright, cool. Let's have a peek inside. Let's hope it's as well lit as I thought it was, and it is. Oh my god, it's so good! Yeah, so this is basically a pair of billboards sandwiched. And the lower one here is set to a lower emission strength. Let me turn that up and see if that helps. Nah, not really. I'll turn that back down to a 2. It doesn't make a colossal difference, but this one up here in the top is really doing a lot of work, and if it wasn't for this one, like let's say I just turn that off, if it wasn't for this one, that would still be, oh, I think I like the way that looks a bit better, honestly. That is so good with that little bit of recessed lighting there. Hell yeah. Alright, sorry. I would gush about that forever. Yeah, let me... Ooh, wait. What if I switch you into always open mode and then come over here and take a picture? I think I need to turn that light back on first. Alright, look, it's not often I make something that looks this good, okay? And if that's gonna happen, I'm gonna take a moment and brag about it. Here we are. Oh yeah, delicious. Oh, very delicious. Okay. Back to being a responsible pioneer. Alright, so here's what we're looking at. All of this is assuming a full 480 belt of each of the raw resources coming in. So for iron, processing all of these with the hydro refining recipe, right? For the pure iron ingots, a full 480 belt will require 280 water per minute and almost 14 refineries. And that'll get us nearly 891 ingots out. It'll actually get us a little bit over that. The math's a little bit weird on that. Let's look at that recipe here for a second. So yeah, it's just the numbers are so strange. I don't like it. But in order to process 35 iron per minute on a 480 belt, 480 divided by 35 is 13.71 blah 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 blah. So that's why I'm just going to do 14 there and just let one of them flicker a little bit. I'll probably actually just throttle it down. But yeah, that'll take 280 water per minute, and then we've got the copper here, which will be 32 refineries spitting out 12 hundo copper. Huge. At 320 water per minute. So I could run both of these off of the same water line since I got a bunch of 600s over there. And then next we've got the Caterium. Caterium gets you less ingots back regardless. If I pull up the ingot recipe here, yeah, it's a little bit more efficient, but it's still a 2-to-1 thing. So it just kind of is what it is. And all of these are going to end up getting shifted over into Quickwire anyway. But yeah, 20 refineries, 480 water per minute, not that big of a deal. It's definitely going to be less space than these 32 are going to take up. And we haven't even thought about power requirements here. Like, that's going to be a lot too. And then next we've got the concrete, which is not really that much. It's only going to take four refineries. So that's pretty good. And it's only going to take 400 water per minute to get us 320 concrete out. So that seems pretty reasonable. I guess I need to figure out what the footprint is going to be for these and how I want to lay them out now. By the way, Project Hut is functioning exactly the way it should. Also, sneaky, do it for Sheila. There you go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am back and I have mapped out, this is going to be our concrete factory. And I'm aware that I only need 4 refineries for this, right? And the refinery blueprint that I have will fit 4 refineries in a 5x5 area. However, I want this to be expandable and able to keep up with me as I grow. So I want this to be able to fully process 1,200 limestone per minute into 800 concrete, and I can have that 800 concrete being shoved into multiple awesome sinks here, or not awesome sinks, multiple dimensional depots here, and honestly I may end up expanding this out or doing more depots vertically. But yeah, this is the idea for now. So the red block here is the space in which the initial 4 refineries will go. The blue blocks here are where the remaining 6 more will hang out. And then each of these purples is a theoretical dimensional depot. I may end up doing more of those. I might boost it up to 8 and just do the other 4 on this opposite side here. But, well, also above. Oh, hey, I forgot to change. Forgot to change my Pioneer, and also my rifle is just, like, in the ground. Huh. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure if this is exactly the layout, like if this is how the dimensional depots are going to be relative to the refineries, but what I do know is that this is going to be the closest I'm going to get for now to what it's going to be in its final form, and planning it out like this means that I can build the building around it without having to worry about, what's it going to look like later. And now that I look at it, I mean, I know concrete is going to be a, super, super necessary thing. I don't know if planning to have 24 dimensional depots uploading concrete is going to be necessary. I did some math, and I can't do that here. But uploading at their maximum speed would be, for 24 of them, would be 5,760 concrete per minute. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's more than I think I'm gonna need for quite some time, until I get into the process of building like really big stuff with lots of concrete packed into blueprints and stuff. So yeah. For now, I'm gonna just plan to have 6 or maybe 12. Much like the copper wire, like, I don't need 9 of those. I probably won't need 12 of these here. The last time I did this, 6, I believe, is around about where I left it off at. However, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So, yeah. Anyway, getting this set up over here, like I said, it's going to take 10 refineries in total to get this entire factory up to its maximum, if you're taking in a full 1,200 belt. So, yeah, plenty of room on both sides for this. Nothing to be super concerned about. And I think I can make, even if I don't use these for dimensional depots, I think these wings here would be very nice as a just-to-have thing. Just to sort of help shape out this building and what it's eventually going to look like anyway. So yeah, cool, good stuff. So that's the planning for the concrete. The rest of the factories are going to be much bigger. Alright, one last thing to look at with the concrete factory here. Got a smart splitter here, and I'm not sure which side I would prefer to have the overflow, the side that will be going into Dimensional Depot, or the side that will be going to the rest of the factory. Probably the Dimensional Depot side will be overflow. The rest of it can come out here to like a truck station or whatever, but anyway, all of the products from this side will come into a smart splitter here, and there will be room for a smart splitter here as well, with the settings pretty much exactly the same. And then a merger here to go off to other factories, merger here going off to this mess. This is a load balancer. For anybody who already knows what a load balancer is, gloss over this. Let your eyes glaze. Basically, what this does is it will split this one belt perfectly evenly between these two. Yes, that could have been done with a single splitter. However, that wouldn't have been future-proofed. And basically, the more inputs that you need to split into with load balancing, the more complicated your balancer gets. So, I've done all of this basically with bilateral symmetry in mind, right? So the first splitter here will split evenly into these two. But I know that I'm going to have 4 bays here that each side will need to split into. So I need a split to go into one pair of bays and into another pair of bays, and then each pair of bays will need its own splitter for that. So, TLDR, this splits into the two sides, right? This splits into this pair and that pair, where this lift here will go over into that splitter for that pair of Dimensional Depot uploaders, right? This splitter is basically serving the exact same function that that splitter is, in that it's going to go into this set and this set evenly. So I know that as long as I hook everything up symmetrically, i.e. whenever I go to expand it, I start with this one and the same location on the other side, and run the belts from this output here into that. As long as I do it that way, I know this will always be load balanced, and all of the dimensional depots will always be receiving the same quantity of concrete at any given point in time. TLDR nerd shit. Alright, we are back, and I've laid out where I'm going to have the copper factory and the iron factory here. In the iron factory, I went ahead and laid out the refineries. Just because there was a specific way that I wanted to do this, and I wanted to make sure that they would all fit in here. So yeah, that's cool. Next thing I need to get on is going to be the Caterium. And that one's going to require 20 of these refineries. So 5 blueprints worth. That shouldn't be that big of a deal. What will be that big of a deal is the way that I want to lay it out. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so I've got a blueprint here that I want to use. If I just hold it in place here, I can make sure it's aligned appropriately. That does appear to be the case. So then I can drop it down and place it. This is a hexagon template. I'm sure you could tell by the name. And I want to use 5 of the 6 sides of the hexagon to expand outward and place a module of refineries on each side of the hexagon. That's going to take up a lot of space, though. So, realistically, like, even if I bring it out this far... I mean, it's still going to end up taking a lot of space to do this, but that also doesn't appear to be correct. Something is wrong with this somehow. And it is not... Oh, it's because that's the 2. Okay. So yeah, at a minimum, there's going to be 4 foundations of dead space in the middle of this. So yeah, initially I was wanting to place the hexagon over here, but there's just no way that there's going to be enough room for it. I think what I'm going to end up having to do is bring it over in that direction. Somewhere like around here, maybe. And yeah, that may end up being the move. By the way, to make this, I did a blueprint for it just to make things a little bit easier. But I can drag this out here and show you how I did it pretty easily. There is a tutorial on YouTube for this by a gentleman by the name of Maker Gaming, who showed off this super simple way to build a hexagon. So you want to take a road barrier and snap it at a 45-degree angle directly on the corner of a foundation, and then just rotate it by 1 increment, right? And on the side that's closer, you want to place a second road barrier, snap to the first one, and then snap a foundation, nope, not in vertical, in default, snap a foundation to that. And then on that platform that you just placed, you want to do the exact same thing. Rinse and repeat. And just keep going all the way around until you close on this corner here. And that will give you a perfect hexagon. And then from there, what I did for my template... Let me get rid of all this. This is no longer needed. What I did for my template is took road barriers at the center and just ran them in towards the middle here. That way I could visually see where the center point of this hexagon is. And the reason that I want that is because this is a blueprint, even though it snaps and the center point is the point that snaps on this, I wanted to make sure that I could visually place something like in the world where I want the center point to be and make sure that I can nudge it into place that way. So yeah, that's what I'm wanting to do for Caterium. Let me figure out where and how I want to lay that out. You know, I'm not entirely sure if I like the placement over here either. Maybe I want to do something a little bit weird and put it in this area with the entrance facing in that direction. Now that's what I'm talking about. I think the spacing's about perfect there, and back on the back side of this building there's enough room for roads and stuff to go between all these. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. And this building, whatever I build around this, can end up being the sort of mascot for this area of the quote-unquote city. I'm thinking maybe this area is operated by like a specific corporation whose entire thing is just refining metal. I don't know. I'm going to have to play with that a little bit. I did not foresee myself adding lore into this playthrough, but I guess that's where we're at now. So, yeah. Next step, I guess, is going to be finishing out the shape of the platform here and getting machines and stuff set up on each of these. Then after that, we can start routing in all the metals and stuff. Yeah, this is what I was talking. I should make sure my mic's operating. Okay, good. Mic is operating. Cool, little behind-the-scenes shenanigans. Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about here. Nice little interesting pattern in the middle. Maybe I can do something with that. Sink something down into some of these voids here or something. But yeah, this is sort of the outline of where the building is gonna be. Not sure what I want to do about the outside, because I kind of imagine all the roads being like straight pathways and stuff. So I don't know what to do about that. I'm thinking now that I've got this in, maybe over here or something, having like the loading depot for ingots and stuff. And maybe inside of this I can build it up a bit and have like an upper floor sort of area where I'm producing like minor products. So, you know, bring some ingots over here from the other factories to do like copper sheets and iron rods and stuff like that. Yeah. Not sure if that's what I want to do, but it's worth a thought at least. And hey, at least I've got an interesting shaped building, atrium, gazebo thing. I don't know what you would call this area. Just entryway, I guess. Yeah. I'll have to think about what I'm going to do with that. I should set up the copper machines as well. I have no idea how much power this is going to cost. I know the refineries are 30 megawatts apiece, but we're building a lot of them, is the thing I'm concerned about. Alright, so I might have gotten slightly carried away with the last update, but I went ahead and routed all of the water and everything to all the machines that it needs to go to. Went ahead and routed all of the belts and stuff as well. So everything should be hooked up and ready to go, and I'm going to be real with you. I'm cooking something with this. I don't know what that something's going to be yet, but I'm cooking it. We'll get to that eventually. Right over here is what I plan to be a transport hub, right? So down at the bottom we're going to have pickup stations, sort of like we've got over there. And I'm thinking, you know, like right here is going to be a roadway. And I think I'll go up and over and have the second floor to this also continue over into a secondary building over there and be all connected and stuff. Have trucks go into a tunnel here and, well, let's see. Trucks will come down this way into a tunnel that starts like right here into the building, and then they'll exit through the back of the building and be able to make their way around and go to wherever else they're supposed to. Yeah. I think it's a cool idea. We'll see how that goes. But I think, I guess the next thing that I need to do is start to get this stuff up and running, and then get some decoration going on. I think it's about time for that in this episode. I'm not saying I'll actually get to it. I kind of want to get the functional bits sorted, but I need to have the ingots ready for me to do something with the ingots, you know? Alright, so I guess one of the other things that I should do prior to decorating all this is getting a good feel for throughputs and stuff. The iron is actually going to be a little bit more because I have two normal nodes here, which means I can overclock them slightly more. Since it's... Oh no, it's going to 480s. Oh no, I need to input those a little bit differently. BRB. There we go. That's better. So now I should have a pair of 300 lines coming into each of these setups here. And I believe each one of these is going to consume 35 times 8. It's only going to take 280 per minute, so not that bad. I'm only slightly over, and then they should output, what is that, 65 per minute? 65 times 8. So yeah, 520 on each side, which is why the outputs here are going to be 4 lines, because I've only got access to belts capable of transporting 480s. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this and hook it up to just any old power line. And we're going to let the belts fully empty out, and we'll throw some throughput monitors on these and make sure that everything's moving at exactly the rate that we want it to be moving at. So let me let these clear out real quick, and I will BRB. Probably also going to set this up for all of the other locations as well. Alright, the final throughput monitor has been set up. Let's come and have a look at these. Yep, 260 on each of the iron ones. Good. That's exactly what I was looking for. Concrete, I didn't need to set up a awesome sync for since it's still working on filling up the buffers over there. 320? 320 a minute is a good amount. Won't complain about that. Copper is fluctuating. That's interesting. Wonder why that is. 322, 327, 315. Are some of these not getting... Or maybe it's just that they're getting ingots through in batches of 15 and that's causing some issues or something. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, these are... No, these are hovering a little bit lower. Weird. I had expected something different. Let's have a look at the Caterium. See what it's measuring up to. Ooh, big lag spike. I wonder what's causing those. Seems like occasionally I'll get them and occasionally I won't. Yeah, that one's holding stable at 240. It's probably just because the other ones are coming through in batches. These should be around 300 per line. And it kind of looks like that's what's going on. You can see it goes up to like 330 until it starts, yeah, until there's a gap. Then it goes down to 270-ish, and now it's gonna go back up, hopefully? Yeah. So it's just the way these are batching out of there, I guess? Wonder if I can do anything about that. How many are you making a minute? 37 and a half? Oh, baby. What if I made all of these Mark 1 belts? Let's see how that affects things. Alright, well, I had hoped that would help, but it appears that that is not the case. Looks like these guys are just gonna kinda show whatever they want to. That's a little bit disappointing out of those throughput monitors. I thought the allure of them was gonna be that you'd get an accurate reading of what's on your belts. Oh well. I guess the next thing that I'll need to do is move everything through to a new location over here. And I went ahead and expanded things a little bit. So I've got a bigger, what's going to be a big general purpose factory floor here. And this can be the truck bays and all that good stuff. So this can be like 2 floors, and the second floor can extend over the top of the truck bays, like I said. Yeah, I'm excited. You know, every now and then, looking out over this colossal mess that this desert has become, this barely organized piece of modern art, I wonder if this is how most people in sandbox games feel when they take on like a big, massive mega project, or I guess more accurately, when they stumble into making one much in the way that I have. I didn't plan to do this from the beginning, but I'm interested to see in how it turns out. Alright, we are back, and here is going to be the last sort of portion of this episode. I decided not to go ahead and build anything yet. I think maybe next episode it'll be dedicated to just building stuff. I think that sounds like a reasonable idea. But for now, I want to set up automation for a couple of resources that we're in need of. So let me come over here to my blueprints into part specifics. I've got one here for computers. And just let me get this situated. I want to have at least a foundation of space in between. Where is the first entry? Okay, so that can come over to like there. And yeah, that'll be fine. And I've got plenty of space up above here to route the output. Great. So this is my computer blueprint that I made. And the alternate recipes for this have made this super, super easy. So this is pretty much entirely going to be rubber and plastic and caterium, and it will spit out computers. And I think I've got it. I labeled the blueprint, or put in the description, per blueprint, 3 computers out per minute. Didn't look at the part requirements for the rest of the stuff, but yeah. So the circuit board recipe is just quick wire and plastic. So that makes that nice and cheap. That means all I need is caterium coming in, and then for computers I need circuit boards, rubber, and quick wire. That's just super friendly. Underclocked, of course, so that I can have 2 of these producing 6 per minute. It's just sort of the nicer ratio. And it looks like, yeah, everything's getting reduced down just a little bit to make things nice and easy. So what I can do is these will work with auto connect, or they should work with auto connect. Let me make sure that this is all going to work out properly. That's connecting. All of these are connecting. Awesome. I can go ahead and put that down. And do I have room for a third? I sure do. Yeah, I think I'll do that. And then these are set up to be as simple as possible to connect together. The only part that you can't auto-connect is, unfortunately, power lines, but as long as you include power lines in your thing, there you go. We are all done with that. And so what I can do here is bring this up to somewhere like this. And I can connect that to power here in just a minute. But first, I want to get the outputs aligned in here. And I'll just do one for now. And I'll do the rest off camera just to show you guys how I intend to do this. So, yep, there is a splitter, and it ends up on the ground right here. The reason for that is so that you can hold control on the belt line itself to align it. And we'll get rid of that. 5, 6, 7. Nope. There we go. Easy peasy. And then bring that up. And there we go. And the input lines are all spaced out horizontally here. So that means that it should be pretty easy for me to bring anything that I need either up and over the top, or in the case of copper, straight down and over into whatever needs it. And you can see down here there's a logistics floor underneath. I've grown very fond of using these sort of little underground logistics sort of setups. And I really like having them visible as well. So yeah, the next thing I'm going to have to do is hook up plastic and rubber, and I believe those are both in the back here. Yep, they sure are. So let me get those taken care of real quick, and I will BRB. Alright, there we go. All the inputs are taken care of, and I went ahead and hooked the outputs up to a dimensional depot over here. I doubt I'm going to need more than one for just computer production. I'm only making, what, 9 a minute? Yeah, 9 a minute. So not that big of a deal. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling. Make sure everything is in working order, because I have not tested this blueprint yet. So I do at the very least want to make sure that it's doing what it says on the tin. That's gonna take a minute to get up and rocking. Looks like the quick wire might be a little bit of a slow point on this. Yeah, I do very much enjoy these like self-contained blueprints here, where it's like everything you need to produce some amount of one product is in one blueprint space, rather than, you know, blueprints for like a line of machines like those. Those are much more modular, but these purpose-built ones are just so useful to work with. What are y'all doing? How are y'all feeling about this? Oh, that's why. It takes 70 seconds to make those. Interesting. Yeah, okay, that seems to be working, and it looks like this is getting everything else that it needs. Good. I just want to see it make a single computer. That would be fantastic. What about you? Power usage doesn't appear to have spiked or anything. I would appreciate it if this thing would hurry up and craft. That'd be great. Okay, very good. That's the circuit boards going in. This thing's rocking and rolling. Let's come look at the spot where the fingies go. Ooh, welding. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't look like a computer. Actually, it more accurately looks like the supercomputer. God, these machine animations are so cool. Oh, there's a computer. Hell yeah. And these should be automatically going into storage. Very good. Awesome. And that means it's time for me to throw down our next blueprint, which is going to be for regular modular frames. So let's come and grab that. And which side is input? That side is input. Very good. I'm going to just set that to blueprint mode, and I'm okay with these being nested right next to each other. That is totally fine. I'm going to stick that down, and weirdly this one took a little bit more space. Mostly because of multiple multiple assemblers being needed for this, as well as a foundry. So we needed steel for this, which means I had to find some coal, or upgrade some miners and create some extra coal to bring in for this. But this one should just need iron, copper, and coal. So that's good, and it should end up creating 6 per minute of the modular frames per thing here. So that is good. And honestly, ooh, I should modify this so that we get some overflow of the reinforced plates. Yeah, let me modify this blueprint real quick. Alright, there we go. That's quite a bit better. Now let me try to auto-connect these. Is that the right layout? It sure is. And it looks like everything is auto-connecting appropriately. Let's make sure all the belts show up. Yep, all the outputs appear to be linking up just fine. All the inputs appear to be linking up just fine. I guess all that's left to do is to get this thing its materials. Hell yeah. Oh, and connect up power. That's right. Oop, that's easy though. Alright, good to go, and we should now be ready to attach this to electricity. There we go, and it looks like everything is at least connected. Yeah. Alright, so what I did is I guess I did my math wrong. I had set these up to be slightly overclocked, and it turns out didn't need that. Because these dudes only need 2 reinforced plates per minute per assembler. I don't know why I overclocked them to 6, but that's okay, because I did the entire setup planning for these to run slightly overclocked. So that means that I can just take the overclocker out of them for like the tiny little 3% overclocking that they were, and just let them overflow into a separate system. So now we've got reinforced iron plates coming over here as well. But again, that's overflowing. They will prioritize going into the modular frame assemblers first. And it looks like, yeah, steel pipes are getting in there way faster. And I should be making 20 per minute of those, yeah. Then 30 per minute of these, oh baby. It's gorgeous. Oh, this dude says it's working. Hell yeah, let me see it. Show me the frame. Show me the frame? Oh. Yeah, that's fair. These do take a minute to craft. Something else that I've noticed with these self-contained blueprints is that it's much, much, much faster for the individual blueprints to get up and running versus your standard manifolded setup. The downside being they take a lot more space. Ooh, I may need to upgrade this iron line here, possibly. I'll have to look at that. Oh, and we are out of rubber, apparently. Okay, cool. Good to know. That should also be okay. That's why I'm using less than 60 per minute over here. So yeah, that'll balance itself out eventually, I think. I hope. Oh, here comes the first frames. Hell yeah. So we're going to be making 18 modular frames per minute, I believe. Let me make sure of that. Yeah. So 3 per craft. And I went ahead and did tripled storage for both modular frames and reinforced iron plates. Modular frames specifically because they're used a lot in something. Was it billboards? No. They're used in dimensional depots, but I don't think that's what I had them for. I don't know, but they stack only up to 50, so you'll burn through them pretty quick. So it's a little bit easier to have them in triple uploaders to help keep up with whatever demand you might have. Reinforced plates not as big of a deal, but it's not gonna hurt to have tripled storage of them. So yeah, let me check on rubber real quick and make sure that everything's going right, and I think it's almost time to end the episode anyway. Okay, yeah, there was a belt that wasn't upgraded to a 480 over there, and it was slowing things down, and half of our rubber was overflowing into an awesome sink. So that's great. Anyway, this stuff appears to be up and running. It's gonna take quite a while for these reinforced plates to fill up in those. But at least we've got the modular frames going. I think if there's another thing that I want to do, it might be to make some oscillators as well. And also make a bunch of quartz crystal. Oscillators I don't need that much of. Let's see, do I have anything in the MAM for oscillators? Alright, so I got some quartz stuff up and going. I can't remember if I did that in the last clip or not, but got some quartz stuff up and going. I've got all of this being loaded into the triple drop-off and buffer blueprint that I initially made, and this is for like the silica is mostly for any glass, like glass walls or windows or anything like that, and then this stuff is for signs for the most part. So yeah, this is all things that we will need in bulk, and I think this is about where I gotta draw a line. I don't know how long this episode's gonna be, but I feel like it's probably going to be a bit longer than I anticipated. So I'm going to call it here, and next episode I think I will dedicate entirely to building and making things pretty. So yeah, I guess I will holler at you guys next time, and if you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, sub down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.